Hello, we are Ghost Trains. I'm Tim.
I'm Jack.
I'm Alex.
I've always been in noisy indie bands and I never got anywhere with it. I did have a record deal for 2 days in the late 90s with somebody, then the guy changed his mind, but the band split up after that. So a few years ago I decided to strip everything right back to its basics, just on the acoustic, which is how I wrote everything anyway, and Ghost Trains was born. And the lineup has changed lots of times, mainly because it's difficult when you're travelling a lot to keep people who can commit to it. We've currently got the best lineup there's ever been. We've been together, the three of us, on and off the last year or so. I needed a percussionist, so I rang up a guy I knew. He couldn't do it, he suggested Jack, and then when I needed a guitarist, Jack then suggested Alex.
So yeah, just began playing drums, you know, in rock bands when I was a kid, and gradually, you know, always loved music, listened to music all the time. When I finished studying, I wanted to do music full time, so I met, you know, people like Alex doing gigs, you know, at parties and weddings and things, and yeah, I haven't looked back since, really.
I've been playing since I was about 6 or 7. Sort of, I don't know, like classically trained guitar stuff, and then I played saxophone at school. So, and I went to music college and did that whole thing. So it's what I've always done. I actually trained as a secondary school teacher as well, a couple of years ago, teaching music, but decided to go back to being self-employed, and performing.
I started to play guitar when I was 14, I think. I was a bass player originally. And by the time I got to 19 or 20, I started writing my own stuff on acoustic. From a kid, it was like the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, and ABBA were my favourite albums when I was a kid. Bit of Don McLean. Then through my teenage years, it was people you've probably never heard of. I went through a psychobilly phase, people like the Meteors and the Stingrays. And then Spear of Destiny, Theatre of Hate, which is like this post-punk outfit thing, which I still love. And then Elvis Costello, Squeeze, people like that. But mainly anything that's songwritery, with harmony vocals, that sort of thing is my main love.
You started off with a lot of rock, grunge, and 70s rock and roll stuff, Led Zeppelin, and then moved through to jazz, a lot of Latin music, particularly Cuban, salsa and Afro-Cuban stuff. But yeah, constantly listening to all different types of music, and yeah, it's always good on tour to nick each other's iPods.
Yeah. I've been fortunate to play loads of different styles of music. Like I studied jazz at college, and through being at music college, got involved with the same sort of thing, you know, Latin stuff, and as well as being into, you know, sort of Simon Garfunkel and James Taylor in a big way. So
I write most of the stuff, so I suppose it's the influences on me that affect that side of it, but in terms of what these guys bring to it, I think it's a good thing that their influences are different than mine, because it goes off in directions that I wasn't expecting.
It works for Ghost Trains, doesn't it? Where there's this Tim, you know, writes the material, but you know, when we play live, or when you're kind of quite collaborative when you record the stuff in the studios.
It is difficult, or it was more difficult, I think, during the late 90s to get anywhere with the band doing your own stuff. It seems better now, especially on acoustic. I think people are more willing to give you a chance, and the internet's helped in an amazing way getting us known. I mean, we've even got fans in an underground music club in Iran. When we've been abroad, it's, depending on where you go, it can be massively different from here. When we went to Russia, we had a Russian manager who heard us on MySpace in the days when MySpace was usable, but she said, come over and do a tour, so we said, okay, why not? And it was like we were the Beatles. We were on TV 2 or 3 times, radio stations. We had to leave out the back door of clubs and stuff. It was quite crazy, really, but lovely. And we went down really well. And I don't know why that is. I think they appreciate the fact that you've got off your backside and gone over there to play for them, which not many people do, really. Also around Eastern Europe, strange countries like to play in Slovakia, Macedonia and Hungary. It's all lovely, lovely places, and we go down very well there as well. Last year I put an advert on the website who wants us to come and play in your house, because I thought we'd try living room concerts just to see what happened, and most of the replies I got were from Germany, Poland, Germany and Switzerland, so it made sense to make a little tour of those countries, and we tagged on a few UK dates at the end, and we tried that. This time when we go back, we're not doing so many house shows because obviously the audience is limited and I want to play to a few more people if we can. But again, Germany seems to be the centre of our worldwide success or popularity. I don't know why that would be, but we have got a record deal in Germany as well. The Russian manager we've got, she knows the German record label, who specialises normally in Scandinavian folk stuff, but I don't know why. It's all very weird and wonderful, but he's signed us as well for Germany, Austria and Switzerland. When we're in people's houses, it's great because it is so intimate. Everybody listens. You can hear a pin drop. You know, it's more pressure on you really to play well. You can't get away with anything. But afterwards, they come and talk to you. They buy your CDs, and it's the same. I think it's the equivalent to playing to 30 people in a house as playing a club with 150 people in terms of who's listening. So,
and I think in terms of the experience that those audience members take away, it's a more memorable thing because I think you're more likely to remember. I mean, if you think about it from your own personal perspective, if you go to a mate's house and there's a band that plays and you like the band, but you remember the fact that they were kind of there in the living room or whatever, next time you go to your mate's house you've still got that memory of it happening, and I think it means that the people that do come, any new fans that you get, are likely to be, I don't know, it's not like a case of loyalty, but I think they're likely to remember that as being a bit more of a special experience, and they feel more personally invested then in the future of the band.
There's no real barrier, is there, physically and just from the audience, so you're right there with everybody.
Not for a year or so. I'm going to concentrate on the UK. We're getting played on the radio a lot more now, and if we just stay in the UK and hopefully do bigger and bigger gigs and see if we can get more popular at home. For family life, it makes more sense. With having the best of one out now, we've got Miss Emily to promote that, but we'll have a new album out in the summer of stuff that's half done now. One of those songs we'll definitely do a video for. The first album was quite stripped back and dark. The second one was a bit more poppy. The next one, I think, was the best one that we've done, the Jack and Sunshine one. That's the one I got the German record deal on. That's I hope in general the songwriting's getting better, but I'm most happy with the new stuff that I'm doing. I really like where that's going. It's not pop, it's more folky again.
Where did the name Ghost Trains come from?
Song lyrics, it's the hardest thing in the world, thinking of a decent band name. It's kind of a dark-ish name, which kind of suits the music, so I think it's okay.
Yeah,
get on board the Ghost Train.
You seem to have had quite a lot of positive reception from music critics. Is that something that's particularly important to you guys, or is it more about the fans? I mean, does it matter to you that you get that kind of reception?
Fans matter most, I suppose, but it's really nice when you've got music critics raving about you. There's the lovely guy, Andy Hughes from Acoustic Magazine, who still today claims that Miss Emily is the best acoustic track of all time, which I can't get my head around that really. I think it makes fans, or potential fans, give you a chance when it's there, so it's obviously really important to have people like that behind you. In general, when we play live, I think it's pretty similar to what we've got on the record, really. I was talking about that this morning with Alex. On the next album, I'm going to try and use a bit of brass and strings, which we won't be able to do live normally, I would imagine, but I don't think that matters. But in general, we sound very similar, I'm told, to what's on the CD. The festivals is where it's at, I think, and I could do next year particularly. I think I want to be on the bigger festival circuit. I think that's where we should aim to be.